going to talk about, like we mentioned earlier, our stay at Wyndham Lake Buena Vista.
Buena Vista.
And what we thought about it. So this is a good neighbor hotel in the Disney Springs hotel area.
There are 232 guest rooms with great views of Disney Springs and the whole property. I mean, you can see beyond Disney Springs, even to like Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And it's 19-story tall, so you can get good views.
It is. So obviously we said this in Disney Springs hotel area, but this is right next to the pedestrian bridge across from the marketplace area of Disney Springs.
Literally, like almost right across.
I mean, from our room, we could actually see into Disney Springs.
Oh, yeah. It's about a 5 to 10 minute walk, I'd say. I mean, you don't have to cross traffic. You just kind of turn right and go across the bridge and you're in the marketplace. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't beat the location.
Yeah. Location-wise. So some of the amenities and things you can find here. What are some things you can find here, Jamie?
They've got 2 pools, a hot tub, a kids splash area, a basketball court, sand volleyball courts, a full-service restaurant, which I think was doing a buffet for like breakfast buffet. Poolside bar. They have Joffrey's coffee in the lobby, which was nice. We got coffee there, didn't we?
Oh, we did?
Yes, I thought so. Eclipse Lounge lobby bar. They've got a fitness center, 19,000 square feet of meeting space, and an arcade as well.
Yeah, it was a sad arcade.
It was sad.
It was an arcade where dreams just went to die. You're like, oh.
And a huge laundry room.
Yeah.
You see how big it was?
It was a big laundry room.
It was a big laundry room.
The supposed, quote, basketball court was also kind of sad. It was like a slab of concrete with an old goal. I mean, you could play basketball on it.
Sure.
But not like...
I don't think it gets used that much.
I'm going to guess it has not.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's a really good... I feel like if the ball took one bad bounce, it's like in the water. But, yeah. But it is technically there, so if you want to use it, you can.
They do have self-parking. It's $22 per day or $28 for valet. They also have shuttles that you can take to the parks. It is scheduled, so you have to schedule that ahead of time, but it is included with your stay. So if you don't have a car, you do have transportation. But like all the other Disney Springs hotels, they don't drop you off in the best locations, especially if you're not like staying on Disney property or Disney hotel. So like Magic Kingdom and Epcot, they'll take you to TTC.
Yeah.
You know. So, and then there is a $34 resort fee as well.
A good old resort fee.
Resort fees.
I loathe resort fees.
I would rather them make the daily rate higher than tack on a resort fee. Like seriously. Like I know like looking at it logistically, it's probably the same amount of money I'm paying, but for whatever reason, it just makes me so mad to pay that resort fee.
Well, yeah, I mean, the resort fee first off, it's implying that you're staying at like I guess it implies that it's optional. Like if you'd like to experience our resort, you're like, well, what's your resort? Like the amenities that we list. So you can't opt out of it. So it's just this hidden. Basically, it's a hidden tax, is what it is.
It covers like Wi-Fi and stuff like that.
And then it just makes me just immediately just.
All right, who did this? I'm not mad. I just want to know who did it so I can punish them.
That's exactly how I feel every time, and I agree with you. I think. And now the thing is, they used to do this in the cruise line industry a lot. And then eventually they had legislation to stop this.
Well, isn't that a thing now? Aren't they working on it?
Well, it's going to happen. I've said this ever since we started the show. This eventually will happen because it's not technically, whatever you want to call it, consumer fraud, but it is misleading because what they want to be able to do is they want to say you can stay at our hotel for under, $150 a night. That's what they can list. That doesn't include that there's an extra $30 for the resort fee. So technically, it's not really under $150, but they can say it is.
Plus a 12.5% tax on top of that.
Right, and then you're talking about self-parking.
Right.
So many times they can say it's $150 and it's actually like more like $200 a night. And mind you, this is not the only hotel that does this. Most of them,
absolutely,
in the Disney Springs area, and many of them all over the country do this. So I don't like it at all. I wish it would stop. And if they're not probably going to stop it on their own. So I'm sure eventually there's going to be legislation that will just put an end to it. But yeah, so just, anytime you're booking a hotel, look at that fine print.
Yep.
Check that out. So, because, and I've always made the contention too, the last thing you would want when somebody starts their stay at your hotel is when you check in and you're like, oh, there's an extra fee I didn't know about.
Right.
So you're already, it's not like people are going to be happy with that. So,
yep.
Anyways, that's enough of a resort fee rant, I suppose. All right. This, we stayed in the tower, but there is a separate area that's called Wyndham Garden.
Yes. And this is the rooms. Basically, they're cheaper and they're a motel style rooms like the building is with exterior facing hallways or like the front door. Mm-hmm. The non-garden section or the tower section, like our section, had interior hallways. And that's the one that we wanted to book.
Yeah.
So it's kind of confusing because like if you were to go and search for Wyndham Lake Buena Vista, it's going to have both of those listed. And if you're not careful, if you wanted to book a tower, you may accidentally book a garden and not even realize it, because the pictures will show that it's an exterior facing hallway, but not very clearly, if that makes sense. Or like Priceline or Hotel.com.
Is there like a guy holding a sign of the tower in front of it or something?
Right. There should be. But just keep that in mind. So the garden is the one with the exterior face of hallways. The non-garden, so Wyndham Lake Buena Vista, is the tower that we stay at. So.
All right. Do you want to give we'll talk about our overall hotel thoughts after we talk about the room here.
Sure.
So now we stayed only one night. We did this. We kind of had a kid-free 24 hours.
38 hours.
Okay. It was quick. We came down for a night, stayed and left. Mm-hmm. So we had the king room. Mm-hmm. It was a Disney view. Mm-hmm. There's also some queen rooms that have the view or no views as well, but we had the king.
And they have a Lake Buena Vista view, which is there's a lake in the back.
Yeah.
Which would be that one. Mm-hmm. And then no view would be like the parking lot.
Always love the parking lot view.
Yeah.
So this room, it has 312 square feet. It's on we were on the 18th floor.
Mm-hmm. So it had a king bed, has a sofa. It did not, I don't think it pulled out because the maximum number of people we could have in the room was 3. So I think you could have a rollaway.
Yeah, I don't think it pulled out.
But I don't think it pulled out. I didn't even try. There's a desk. There was a dresser with a few drawers. They did have some stools that you could pull out for extra seating, which is kind of cool. The bathroom had one sink, toilet and shower tub combo, and they also have the closet, like for when you first walk in at the closet, and with the extra linens and ironing board and stuff.
Yes. What were your thoughts on the room? And then we'll talk about the overall resort after that.
Well, this is what I liked about the room. I loved the view. Mm-hmm. I loved the view of Disney Springs. Like you could see everything on Disney Springs from where we were. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you could see Epcot, you could see Hollywood Studios, you could even see some fireworks. I don't think we were there when the fireworks show was going on, but we could have seen it.
That was the night we stayed here was when we were at Hollywood Studios really late. So we didn't see any fireworks in the room. Right.
So I really enjoyed the view from there. Had a good amount of space. Like I felt like we could spread out pretty well and had a good amount of space.
It wasn't cramped. Size was not a factor. Yeah.
Right. The rate, I feel like the rate was decent. It was $169 a night, and that was with an AP discount. So it wasn't too bad. Mm-hmm. And the fridge was bigger than normal fridges, like a Disney fridge. Remember how big it was? It was like twice as big.
Yeah. Well, you find that a lot of times on off properties, the fridges are bigger than the ones you get at Disney. Disney doesn't give you much space.
We stay at Disney a lot, so I feel like I have to.
It's nice. That. It's nice when you have that for sure. We didn't really utilize it this trip because we didn't really bring much with us, but it does leave you room if you go eat. You can have your leftovers in there. Granted, you don't have a microwave in the room, but
no microwave.
You do have that.
And I also like the art above the bed.
Yeah,
like it was pretty.
That wasn't bad.
It was pretty.
Okay.
But that's kind of where it stops.
Well, I guess I will. Those are the pluses. I agree with
The
those.
pluses.
So I would say overall, the vibe, it definitely feels dated in this room.
It really does.
And one thing I did notice when we stayed, it wasn't an incredibly hot day by any means. I would say it was, when we checked in, it was probably high 80s, maybe that day. It was a little rainy, so it wasn't.
Oh wait, no. These 2 days were pretty low. They were like in the high 70s.
Okay, it wasn't
Yeah.
bad. And the window, you could tell a noticeable difference. Like if you were by the window, it was a few degrees warmer for sure. Like it felt warmer. And they were older windows. They just weren't very well insulated. So I can only imagine this room on a really hot summer day probably has a very hard time staying cool. And again, some hotels, this happens, and I don't know why, but the AC in this room was weird. You would put it at like 70, and then it would get down to 72, and then it would turn off. And then it would kick back, but it never would get down to the temperature. And not that I'm saying to do this, you can find out ways to override the hotel, thermometer gauge there if you want.
Uh-oh, Jared.
I'm not saying I did that. I'm saying you can do that. And I'm saying that was kind of the main way to get the room to the temperature you actually wanted in here. So that was, and it was very loud. I will say, like it would come on and come off, and it wasn't quiet. But again, you could tell it was an older room, an older hotel. The bathroom was it was fine. It was just really low ceilings. It felt really cramped.
The whole thing had low ceilings. Yeah,
it did.
Everything was low to the ground too. Remember that?
I mean, I had to duck to get. I mean, I'm 6'3". I'm not like insanely tall, but I had to duck to get in. I felt like I kind of had to in the shower. I couldn't really stand up totally straight. So, but again, I mean, it was fine. I mean, the shower worked. It was clean. It had the counter and everything. So none of it was like dingy or dirty, but it just felt really cramped. And the light in there was only the light you had from the mirror. So it had a light inside the mirror, didn't have an overhead light. So it was kind of dim.
It was really dark in the shower.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of light in there.
Right. There was also no fan in there.
There was no fan. Yeah.
And the bed was way too soft. Like the mattress needed to be changed.
It wasn't the most comfortable. It was a king size bed, so there's plenty of room, but I can't say it was the most comfortable bed. I mean, I'm used to our bed's pretty nice, so I'm definitely used to a certain level of mattress.
Certain level of mattress.
I mean, I just am. I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty soft. Although, I mean, the room was clean. The couch, you could tell, it needed a little cleaning. It's an older couch. It kind of, like I told Jamie, the first half of the room felt kind of updated. And then the second half of the room toward the window, it kind of reminded me of my grandparents' house growing up, where it was like, it stopped being, like it stopped at like 1995, and everything beyond the bed was like dated that much. Like the desk was older looking. Everything just looked kind of dated. It just needed a refurb, basically.
Yeah.
Not dirty, just seemed a little older. But yeah, I mean, the size was fine. It just, overall, I think it could have been a refurb and little things that were just kind of like, again, like the air conditioner. Like you don't really think about it. The AC being kind of weird. It's kind of annoying, especially when, you want to sleep and it's cool. And, I can only imagine if it was really hot outside, trying to get that AC to keep that room cool, given how the window doesn't really insulate very well. So that's kind of our views on the room. So, I mean, given that price point, the location's really good. The bed's subjective. Some people probably think the bed's just fine, so that just depends on your taste on bed and things like that.
I was thinking like, did it used to be a different hotel and they bought it?
I'm guessing probably.
That's like what I was thinking. I just don't know. I'll have to look that up sometime.
I'm assuming it changed ownership. It would be my guess. I think Wyndham has done that in the past. Now, I guess a question to ask, because this is a Wyndham hotel, and they kind of have a reputation. Do they try? Did they ever try to hard sell us on timeshares and things like that?
No, they didn't. When you first walk in the lobby, you kind of have to go back a little bit to check in on the left side. And there is a desk beyond that talks about like Wyndham vacations or whatever it is. But no, there was no haggling. The only thing they said was, if you want to get your welcome packet, go see the desk. And I was like, I know exactly what that means.
Right. And
so I didn't do it.
That's when they would do that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, I think anytime you mention Wyndham, people will ask that because there's, some people, I guess they can be pushy. I don't know if they are anymore in most places, but yeah. So they didn't do that with us at least. So
it did used to be a different hotel. It was called Regal's Sun, and Wyndham bought it and redid it. So yeah, it's been there for a while.
Okay.
Just FYI.
I figured as much. All right. I mean, that's, kind of our thoughts on the room. Hotel in general. One thing I will say, the lobby was really nice. But it was nice. I think they put most, knowing that they redid this hotel, I think they put most of the money into the lobby. Because it's a first impression, which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they did. They did. It's interesting with the tower and then the garden section, like flanking it. It's organized weird.
It's
like you had to go down to the bottom floor and then you had to go outside. You know what I mean? Like it was super strange. But anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so the lobby was nice. Again, it had Joffrey's in there. It's got a bar and you got TVs in there. There used to be a Disney store in here, and we know that because there were signs that said as much.
It was covered, but we could see it.
And we don't know when that was and wasn't there.
Right.
The pool, we checked out the pool. The pool was really nice. So it had a lot of nice the amenities were kind of nice with it. Mm-hmm. It was, I think the lobby definitely gives you a really good first impression, maybe compared to like some of the dated aspects of the rest of the hotel. But
yeah,
overall, anything else you want to add, and what were your overall thoughts? Would you recommend it?
So, okay, obviously the location is amazing. Like if you want to be close to Disney Springs within walking distance, this is a really good one to pick. Mm-hmm. Hilton Lake Buena Vista is across the street, which is also close. We have stayed there one time, but it's been years, so we may have to redo that one again. Hilton Palace is kind of catty corner right behind. I mean, you can see the pool from mm-hmm. our room of that one, which is also close. So we need to try that one too. I don't know if I would stay here again unless it was for the location. We always, we talk about Drury hotels a lot and what they offer, and the fact that it's a new hotel, and comparing that to this, I would pick Drury. I would pick Drury over that.
I was going to mention that as well. Okay, so I agree. I'm a big fan of Drury. I really like that a lot. This hotel, again, location's great, like you said. It was a bit dated for my liking. And again, if you're staying here and it's really hot on some of these rooms, I think you may have an issue with that AC keeping that room cool. Would I recommend it? It depends on the price. Like I think if this was priced if you can get this for like in the $130 range, yeah, okay. Ooh. Like, that
might be hard to do.
It could be very hard to do. Mm-hmm. To me, at the $150, $160 range, I think I would rather maybe spend a little bit more and stay with Drury.
Yeah.
And because you get, again, it's a new hotel. I think the room's a little bit bigger. You get the food, you get the drinks included, and it's basically the same location, walking distance. So
you walk how much more do you walk? Maybe 5, 7 more minutes?
Maybe, but we don't walk to Disney Springs, really, because we always have a car. So
yeah,
for us, that's really not something that goes into my calculations on it. It could for you, so that's something that you just have to look at.
But it's not a bad walk, though.
No,
that's the thing.
And this one, I mean, if your main thing is you want to go to Disney Springs, I mean, it's right there. Mm-hmm. So that could be a thing where, I mean, you walk at the hotel to the right, and you were like at the parking lot.
Yeah.
So for me, I wouldn't go out of my way to stay here again. I'll put it that way.
Same.
If we're talking about Disney Springs and this is the area we want to be, my first choice is still going to be Drury.
Yeah.
And we've talked about over the Flamingo Crossing area as well. We like those hotels over there. I think I like Drury better than those, given quality of the hotel and location. But
Yeah.
Flamingo Crossing, I think, is, especially if you got a car, those are a good option. But yeah. It was it's just kind of a dated hotel. Service was good. The front desk, when you go check in, they were all really courteous and nice, and no complaints there at all.
No, it was a good experience. It was just there were some things about it that was like, I don't know if I do this again. In the near future. So if we're talking like ranking 1 out of 10, like my favorite hotel ever as a 10 and my least favorite 1, I would say probably falls in like a 5.
I think that's fair.
5.
I was going to say.
I mean, location alone puts it at higher.
You can make an argument location maybe makes it a 6.
Maybe.
To me, I'm still going to put it around a 5.
Joffrey's being in the lobby is nice. I will say that.
It is nice. And again, the lobby is nice. I mean, if you need to do some work, it'd be a great place to go do it. And it does have bus transportation.
Right. Yeah.
So it's got some pluses to it. It's just, it really depends on how much time you plan. If you just basically want a place to rest your head and that's it, again, I think there might be nicer hotels that may be in the same price range or a little cheaper even than this, but given your location,
it'll be hard to be as close to Disney Springs and get cheaper.
Yeah. So
unless you stay in the garden section.
Yeah. I think the biggest draw to this would be its location. So.
Yeah. I think I would rank it a little bit higher if they had the character breakfast back. They used to have a Disney character breakfast, actual characters at the breakfast.
Yeah.
They don't do that. I haven't done that since 2019. So I think it was 2019. It's been a while. So I was sad when I learned this because I had heard about it, but I was like, oh, they haven't brought that back. So
yeah, I mean, I think overall the weakest thing about the whole hotel is the room. Yep. So everything else is kind of fine and maybe is nice, but the room was definitely the weakest part. So
yeah.
So. All right, well, that'll do it for our review of Lake Buena Vista.